We'll call to order the Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors business meeting Tuesday, April 20th, 2021. Board meeting room 39 Bank Street, Southeast Chatham, Virginia. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Davis.
Present.
Mr. Dudley.
Present.
Mr. Farmer.
Here.
Mr. Ingram.
Here.
Dr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Scarce.
Here.
Mr. Warren.
Here. I would ask that you would observe a moment of silence with us, please. Thank you. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Are there items to be added to the agenda? Mr. Hunt.
Yes, sir. We have the following items or changes to the agenda. Under presentations, we need to add a Special Agent Dwyer resolution plaque presentation. Sheriff Taylor will be handling that. Under new business, we need to add temporary county music festival permitting suspension and Mount Cross and Cascade Fire truck purchase funding. And matters from the work session, we need to add county summer youth work program funding approval and legislative committee recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the additional items?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Scarce, seconded by Mr. Ingram, seconded by, I said Mr. Ingram, correct.
Just stops. Yeah.
And seconded by
Mr. Davis.
Mr. Davis. Any discussion on the motion? Please cast your votes. Please record the vote. Motion carries unanimously. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the added items?
I make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Davis, seconded by Mr. Ingram. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please record your vote. Motion carries unanimously. We're down to item 7, consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Dudley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Ingram. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm going to vote to approve the consent agenda. However, I'd like the record to show for item 7M that I'm going to abstain from my vote on that, being that it's a business that's owned by my family. I have zero interest invested. I just think it's appropriate for me to abstain on 7M, sir.
Okay, please let the record note that due to family relation ties, no personal business interest on item M, but Mr. Farmer is notifying the public and the board that he's abstaining from item M. Please record your vote. Motion carries unanimously. We're down to presentations. American Corps National Service Recognition Day Proclamation presentation. Do I have that, Kate?
Yes, it's in the black,
Mr.
in the folder. That's
Yes,
it.
Dr. Miller.
Yes, sir. Would you like me to read from here?
Is someone here to receive that?
Yes.
Yes, please come forward. And let's let the board go down front, because,
Okay.
Dr. Miller,
Dr. Miller, when you read
Brown,
it, why don't you
wanted-
just read into that microphone right there and then present it to
Dr. Brown, you wanted a picture, right? Yeah, okay. I think Taylor's taking care of that for you. Let's go down front.
Vaden. Vaden.
Dr. Brown. Good afternoon, everybody. Excuse me. The Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors Proclamation, National Service Recognition Day, April 6th, 2021. Whereas service to others is a hallmark of the American character and central to how we meet our challenges, and whereas the nation's elected leaders are increasingly turning to national service and volunteerism to engage their residents and help tackle their greatest needs, and whereas AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps seniors participants address the most pressing challenges facing our communities. They help our nation recover from the COVID-19 pandemic, educate students for the 21st century jobs, fight the opioid epidemic, respond to natural disasters, and support veterans and military families. And whereas national service expands economic opportunity by creating more sustainable, resilient communities and providing education, career skills, and leadership abilities for those who serve. And whereas AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps seniors participants serve in more than 40,000 locations across the country, bolstering the civic, neighborhood, and faith-based organizations that are so vital to our economic and social well-being. And, excuse me, whereas national service participants increase the impact of the organizations they serve, both through their direct service and by managing millions of additional volunteers. And whereas national service represents a unique public-private partnership that invests in community solutions and leverages non-federal resources to strengthen community impact and increase the return on taxpayer dollars. And whereas national service participants demonstrate commitment, dedication, and patriotism by making an intensive commitment to service, a commitment that remains with them in their future endeavors. And whereas AmeriCorps shares a priority with local leaders nationwide to engage citizens, improve lives, and strengthen communities, and is joining with local leaders across the country for National Service Recognition Day on April 6th, 2021. Now, therefore, The board hereby proclaims April 6, 2021 as National Service Recognition Day and encourages residents to recognize the positive impact of national service in our community, to thank those who serve, and to find ways to give back to their communities. Given under my hand this 20th day of April 2021, Robert W. Bob Warren, Chairman, Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors, and David M. Smitherman, Clerk, Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors. Stephen?
It truly is my honor and privilege tonight to invite our sheriff forward, and we're going to turn it over to him, but before we give him the mic, we would like to extend our appreciation and gratitude to Special Agent Dyer and all of law enforcement. This board has been steadfast in their support for law enforcement. Unlike some other communities throughout our nation, we're happy and very appreciative of all of you all's efforts, and want to know that we will always continue to stand behind you from this board's perspective. And we've even got one of your own on our board, so we very much appreciate it. And Sheriff Taylor, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you take it from here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Step on up, Jim. Now I get to tell you what to do for a minute. There you go. And if I could take just a second. Early in 2016, we were experiencing many crimes because of the gang activity in and around our community. And it was at a point that it was affecting many aspects of the safety of our community, our young people, and our industry and economic development. And so from the urging of some of the board members, we asked Agent Dwyer if he would come down and meet with us, and we met at the Chamber of Commerce one afternoon. And Agent Dwyer was very instrumental in setting in motion a task force that involved the federal agencies, the state agencies, and the local agencies. And because of that, it was a great success in the identification of, the arrest and prosecution of many criminals involved in the gang activity in our community. Since that time, Agent Dwyer has decided to accept a promotion, and he will be in the Dallas office of the FBI. We hate to see him go, but we know his field is going to take his spot, and I know we're going to look for great things. So we thought it would be a good thing to recognize Agent Dwyer for the good things that he did for our community. He's not one to want to be in the forefront, but we're going to put him in the forefront tonight with this resolution and an award, and we thank him so much for being here. Jim, it reads, Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors, Resolution number 2021-04-02. It's a resolution honoring Supervisory Special Agent, Resident Agent James J. Dwyer. Virginia, at the regular meeting of the Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors held on April the 20th, 2021, the following resolution was presented and adopted. Whereas in 2016 and 2017, Pittsylvania County, Virginia was experiencing acts of gang violence. Whereas specifically, 28 homicide investigations with 32 victims were directly involved and linked to gang involvement. And whereas other gang-related criminal activities included breaking and entering, robbery, drug distribution, firearms offenses, aggravated assault, and homicide. And whereas in 2017, under the direction of Supervisory Special Resident Agent James J. Dwyer, federal, state, and local law enforcement officials and prosecutors launched Operation Purple Rain, focusing on alleged crimes committed by Bloods and Crips gang members. And whereas this partnership included the FBI, the County Sheriff's Office, the Danville Police Department, the Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and the Drug Enforcement Administration, the Virginia State Police, and the United States Attorney's Office of the Western District, the United States Marshal Service, and the Office of Commonwealth Attorney Michael J. Newman, and the county office, the Pittsylvania County Commonwealth Attorney's Office. Whereas under the investigation direction of Special Resident Agent Dwyer, one of the largest racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations act and violent crimes in aid of racketeering investigations was presented to the United States Federal Court in the Western District of Virginia for trial. And whereas in total, Operation Purple Rain resulted in 250 federal indictments on 20 gang members and associates, 8 of which were members of the Miller Bloods, and 8 members of the Rolling 60s Crips, and 4 were associated gang members. And whereas directly due to Special Resident Agent Dwyer's remarkable efforts and the forward thinking of local law enforcement and members of the community, county gang-related crime has greatly declined. Therefore, be it formally resolved that the board expresses its sincere admiration and appreciation to Special Supervisory Resident Agent Dwyer for his outstanding efforts in reducing county gang-related crime. And be it finally resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to SSRA Dwyer and sent to local media. Given under my hand this 20th day of April, 2021, Robert Bob W. Warren, Chairman, Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors, David M. Smitherman, Clerk, Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors. Congratulations. Thank you, sir.
Sheriff Taylor, thank you very much for those kind words. There's a lot of great effort, as you mentioned, in a lot of agencies here, and I'm humbled by your words tonight. And the credit goes to the many, men and women who worked these investigations and did all the work here, from your office, from Danville PD, from Virginia State Police, and many other folks along the way. So I'm honored to be here tonight and accept this on the part of all of them. Thank you to the board for the recognition that you've provided me. It's bittersweet that I'm leaving this area. I've truly enjoyed my time here. But thank you, and thank you to the citizens of Pittsylvania County. I appreciate it.
We have one other plaque that we'd like to present to you. This has the FBI's signia. It also has our sheriff's office, and we've designated you as an honorary deputy sheriff here. So come back when you retire from the FBI. We got work for you to do.
I'll be more than happy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate your service. Thank you very much. we're now down to hearing of the citizens, and I've been informed by our clerk, Ms. McCaleb, that we don't have anyone signed up, so we'll move on from hearing of the citizens tonight to public hearing, rezoning case, and we'll move to case number 1, pursuant to Article 5, Division 6 of the Pittsylvania County Zoning Code, the Board of Supervisors has been empowered to hear and decide specific zoning issues and zoning map changes in support of said ordinance. In accomplishing this important task, the board is responsible for promoting the health, safety, and general public welfare of the citizens of Pittsylvania County. The board must ensure that all of its decisions and regulations be directed to these goals and that each be consistent with the environment, the comprehensive plan, and in the best interest of Pittsylvania County, its citizens, and its prosperity. We will open case number 1 at 7:25 p.m. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case R-21-005, Mabel Doss has petitioned to rezone 2.01 acres on State Road 930 Sycamore Road in the Stanton River Election District from A1 Agricultural District to R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to combine with an adjacent parcel of land, Zone R1. Once the property is rezoned to R1, all uses listed under Section 35-222 are permitted. The Planning Commission recommended by a 7-0 vote with no opposition that the petitioner's request be granted. Staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, I do not believe that Mabel Doss is here, but I'll be happy to try to answer any questions that the board has.
Okay, does the board have any questions? Any questions at all? Okay, I'll close the public hearing at 7:26 and entertain the board's pleasure.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This is in my district, in the Stanton River District, and I make a motion in case R-21-005. I make a motion to approve the rezoning of 2.01 acres from A1 Agriculture District to R1 Residential District Subdivision District to allow the subject property to be consolidated with an adjacent parcel. The rezoning will be consistent with the county's comprehensive plan.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Dudley, seconded by Dr. Miller, and as I said earlier, there was no one that signed up for any of these tonight, so I appreciate the clerk keeping me on my toes. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please cast your votes. Motion carries unanimously. The property has been rezoned. I'll open public hearing number case R21-006 at 7:27. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case R-21-006, Frank Martin and Linda Stroud have petitioned to rezone 19.47 acres located on State Road 747 Golf Club Road in the Westover Election District from Residential Manufacturing Housing Park District to A1 Agricultural District to allow for agricultural use. Once the property is rezoned to A1, all uses listed under Section 35-178 are permitted. The Planning Commission recommended by a 7-0 vote with no opposition that the petitioner's request be granted. Staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Frank Martin is here to represent the petition.
Okay, Mr. Martin, do you have something you'd like to add, sir? Thank you, Mr. Martin. No one signed up for this one either, so I'll close the public hearing at 7:28 and entertain the board's pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve case R-21-006, requesting to rezone 19.47 acres on State Road 746 Golf Court Road from A1 to, from A1 Agricultural to R1.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Scarce, seconded by Mr. Davis. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please cast your votes. Motion carries unanimously. Other public hearings. Each person addressing the board under a public hearing shall step up, give his, her name and district, and/or his or her place of residence for non-county citizens, and an audible tone of voice for the record, and unless further time is granted by the chairman, shall limit his or her address to 3 minutes. Speakers for a group shall be limited to 10 minutes. Speakers shall conclude their remarks at that time. And unless the consent of the board is affirmatively given to extend the speaker's allotted time, absent chairman's approval, no speaker shall be able to speak who is not signed up. We're down to public hearing. Item number 1, disposition of a portion of county landfill property to AC Power. And Mr. Hicks.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Several months ago, the board approved a proposal from AC Power to possibly install solar facilities at a portion of our landfill. What you have before you this evening is a land lease option. All of the solar proposals are very competitive, and what they need to perform first is their due diligence on our property to see if it would make a good application. This is a lease, and for the first 6 months, they would not pay us anything, and then for each quarter after that, they would pay us a lease payment of $2,500 per quarter. What you have in your packet is a 2-year lease, and since then we have negotiated a 1-year lease with the option to renew for additional 1-year terms. We didn't want to tie it up for a complete 2 years if they weren't moving forward, or if we had something better come along. So what you see in your packet, the new lease would be for a 1-year term, and I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Okay, let me open the public hearing, Mr. Hicks, at 7:31. Did anyone from the public sign up for this one?
No, sir.
Okay. I'll close the public hearing at 7:31 and entertain the board's pleasure, and then we'll have discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Davis. Do I have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Dudley. Now we have the floor open for discussion. Any discussion? Okay, please cast your votes. Please record the vote. Motion carries unanimously. We're down to public hearing disposition of Old Blair's Middle School, Southside High School to Mid-Atlantic Foundation Incorporated. Mr. Hicks.
Okay, I think I started working on this project just about the time I got here, and we're finally in a position to move this project forward with construction. There are several items that we will be asking for your authorization this evening. The first is to deed that property to the company listed here. We also have some sewer easements, some construction easements, and some parking easements that we're also asking for the board's approval. But first, Mr. Sam Sorry with Landmark Development Company is going to give you an update on the project and, hopefully answer any questions you might have. But, what we once thought was a building the county was going to have to spend several $100,000 tearing down will now be a $14 to $15 million project that will be added to our tax base. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Sorry at this time. And I hope we have his presentation.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for having me here today. I think I've met most of you 2 years ago, and it has been a long 2 years with COVID, but I'm glad to be back. My name is Sam Sarai with Landmark Development Company. We're a Winston-Salem-based company. It's not.
Flip on the side, flip it up to put the power on.
Thank you, Vaden. There we go. Anyway, my name is Sam Sarai. I'm Vice President of Landmark Asset Services. We're a third-generation, family-owned company based in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Our company currently has 150 employees across 9 states with 85 total properties and 4,000 units. What we're known for most are our historic adaptive reuse properties. Old schools, old mills, haven't done a jail yet, hospitals, and one church. So what we do is we take these structures that are often dilapidated and renovate them into high-quality units. Here's just a map of our current properties and across, like I said, 9 states. In this slide, I know it's hard to see up there, but these are all the different schools we've done throughout our 30-year history. I always like this one because if you look at the top, our very oldest schools have just been recently renovated, as you can see. So not only do we build them the first time, we renovate them every 20 to 25 years or so. Albemarle Central School is a property we completed, I think, 4 years ago now. And it's very similar to the Blair School in that it has apartments in it, and it also has an auditorium, which the county leases for a nominal rate, and they use it for activities for the community. Asheville Lofts is another project in Asheville, North Carolina. It won multiple awards, and Asheville is a really cool town that was industrial and mill-based, and when all that went away, they needed something to do with these buildings. So that's probably one of my personal favorites. Our vision for Southside. So this is why we're all really here. It's a beautiful old school, and for a long time, as I know many of you know, it's been sitting there vacant. So this is what we plan to do with it. First, we plan to revitalize the structure, of course, into modern housing units. These will be 55 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units. And then there's the coolest part to me is the auditorium. We propose to lease it back to the county at a nominal rate. Vaden, remind me, I think it's $100 a year.
No, you're way too high. $1.
All right, $1. Tries a hard bargain. So you guys would get the auditorium and you can use it for pretty much whatever you'd like. I do ask for quiet hours, I think, after midnight, but otherwise, I would hope that the county would be able to use it or lease it to other folks who could. The other really cool part is that you have an awesome soccer club there. Southside Soccer, I think, told me they had over 500 kids this year, and that is very impressive, and we want them to stay, as not only do we like them being there, we see it as an amenity for them and for us to save that building, have it be safe, have appropriate parking facilities, and, you know, our residents can send their kids to play soccer. And then, super importantly, like I said, the Southside High School alumni, I know they're very active, and they are very attached to this property. So it is our hope that they will use it, the auditorium, and you will allow them to. Pardon me. This is the basic site plan. I just wanted to show you this to you. It's kind of hard to see, but that's exactly what the school looks like now. We're not changing the layout substantially. We're adding, of course, as much parking as we can fit. And one critical thing to note here is I would love to add more. I think I have 180 spaces at least. I would love to add more, but if I go and add any more spaces, I will have to build a stormwater detention pond because I will disturb over 1 acre of land. And if I build that pond, number one, it'll be large, and 2, it'll actually end up with less parking. So we have maximized the space as much as possible. This is just a general layout plan. You can see we've tried really hard to fit the units within the existing classrooms and auxiliary spaces so that when you walk in that door, if you went to school there, it will look the same. It will still look like a school. This is my favorite part and the easiest for me to explain, the before and after pictures. As you can see, it's in fairly decent shape. I admit this picture's a few years old now, but it could be a lot better. This is what we hope it looks like. You drive by it, it looks the same as it has for a very long time, except it looks brand new, it's up to modern building code, and it's safe. The inside, of course, is in not so great a shape. But the good news is that we truly believe that we can fix it and have done so before. And we hope that it will look something like this. As you can see, you have the bedrooms infilled into the classrooms, and then you have the historic hallway that everyone remembers from childhood. Benefits for the county. One, of course, is preserving a historically significant school. That means a lot to me personally. Anyway, I always love saving historic buildings. The second, of course, is the dollars. We're hoping to spend $11.8 million total development costs on this structure. And another one, don't tell Virginia I said this, or Richmond, sorry. I like to get some of those dollars that Richmond and Northern Virginia always get and bring them here. Maybe it's because I went to school in Orange and like a smaller community. Of course, Richard also explained the county would have to either start maintaining the building or tear it down, which could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. It has asbestos, lead-based paint, underground storage tanks that we will be dealing with under federal law. And of course, you have the ability, if you want, to create a revenue source with that auditorium for events or private parties. And that is pretty much it. I would love to answer any questions you all have. And I also have some common question slides if you like. It's only 2, so it's up to you all.
What do you, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
We don't, go ahead.
I was going to ask him, what do you do with the old fixtures that you find in there? You demolish them, throw them away, you tell me?
So we try to do as much as we can to save anything, and that could be light fixtures. I love to save those and put new bulbs and ballasts in them. That could be anything from trophy cases we try to save, lockers. But if you're talking about like water fixtures and things like that probably don't meet code, if we can leave it in place like a cool-looking old-school water fountain in the hallway, we will. In the classrooms, a lot of them, we do throw them away or try to give them to someone that can use them, just because they don't meet code anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
If you will, I am particularly aware of a number of the folk in Pittsylvania County and Danville, and of course, surrounding communities who were educated at that school, and they have communicated to me specifically that there are things located in the building that they would like to maintain. So if you personally would please let me have your direct contact numbers before you leave, I can make sure that those people get your information and can communicate with you, please.
Absolutely, and like I said, we preserve anything we can. I will give that to you. One thing I will note, I did drive by there today. One of the doors was open, so either I can go chain it up, or if somebody from the county could, that would be very helpful. But I do think a lot of that stuff is still there.
Okay.
Mr. Hicks, can we take care of locking that building up?
Yeah, they have.
All right. Anyone sign up?
No, sir.
Well, as a formality, I'll open the public hearing at 7:42 and indicate for the record no one signed up. So we'll close the public hearing at 7:42 and entertain the board's pleasure.
Chairman, I make a motion we approve the donation of the property admitted at Langen and authorize the chairman to execute the related attached documents as substantially presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I would just like to comment, being in my district, that I really appreciate the efforts you've made so far, and I was going to ask you every one of the questions, but you touched on them tonight in relationship to communicating with the alumni from Southside High School. It is a historical place there for those folks, and they're very passionate about it, and that makes me somewhat passionate about it. Also, I'd like to ask you one question. I appreciate the auditorium usage for the county. I think that'll benefit our citizens too. But the Southside Soccer, when I looked at your map, are you reducing the land usage that that club will have with, are you eliminating any of the fields or all with any of your parking? I couldn't really tell from your view.
So currently, Southside Soccer has use of kind of a, I wish I still had it up, of kind of a concession stand at the back. In the back, there's 2 shop buildings. And then they use the rear of those shop buildings currently. So we're leaving them the front concession area, of course, that will be renovated extensively, and taking the back shop buildings. However, with county permission, we're hoping to build about a 4,000 square foot steel storage building back behind there. So they should have more or about the same amount of space as they do now. And then the soccer fields actually will remain county property. So that will be under your all control.
We're not reducing any of that field, Mr. Hicks? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I understand that the old artifacts from the South Side School are now at Northside under the direction of Kel Stone. Do you know that to be the truth?
I did not, no.
Oh, okay. That's what I've been told, and I've talked with him, and he has some. So if anybody inquires about those artifacts, he has what wasn't destroyed. And my second point is when I was there in junior high school, Mr. Bryant took a knife away from me. Can I get that back?
I will look for it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We,
Thank you, sir.
again, this is, sounds like a good opportunity for the county that we're going to have $11 million invested in the county, and we're eliminating quite a bit of an expense if we had to demolish the building on our own, and we wouldn't have had the wherewithal to invest $11 million into it to preserve something as historical as that school is. So I'm really happy to see this happening, and I look forward to seeing the finished product. Please cast your votes. Motion carries unanimously. All right, gentlemen, is there any unfinished business?
No, sir.
Okay, we're down to new business, item 12A, resolution 2021-04-05, support of the 1% local sales tax referendum for county school renovations and constructions. What's the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Davis, seconded by Mr. Scarce. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Will this be on this November's ballot?
Yes, sir. Thank you. That's the intention.
Mr. Chairman, do you want me to just give everybody a 10-cent tour of this thing?
That would be really good.
Okay, as everybody's aware, in 2019, the Virginia General Assembly included Pittsylvania County in Virginia Code Section 58.1-605.1, and it allowed us to petition for a referendum to be placed on the ballot to levy a general retail sales tax not to exceed 1% to provide revenue solely for capital projects for the construction or renovation of county schools. The way this process works is if the board approves this resolution tonight, it authorizes me to petition the circuit court for a referendum to be placed on this November's ballot. And if that occurs and the citizenry approves that, we will start charging 1% retail sales tax that can only be used for renovation and construction of schools. We anticipate that 1% will throw off anywhere from $3 to $3.5 million per year, and that money would be used to service debt for a period of 3 years, where we would issue some debt to renovate the schools. Our new source of revenue would not be on the backs of real estate owners. It would apply to anybody who drove through our county and purchased something at a gas station or restaurant or what have you. But as you recall, under the Dillon rule, we were not allowed to do this until we were specifically added to this Virginia Code, State Code section. Danville was added to it, and there were several other localities that have already done this last year. I'll be happy to answer any more
Thank you,
questions.
Mr. Hunt. Any other discussion from the board? I'd just like to follow up Mr. Hunt for citizens did a great job telling us about what that is. Let's all remember that those capital needs and capital expenses are coming, regardless of how we're going to pay for them. Those needs are going to be there. So the question is, as you go in and look tonight to cast your vote here, is do we want to spread that out, as Mr. Hunt so eloquently stated, for citizens that are not even county residents that are buying items within the county, so it's not placed on the back of the landowners like we usually have to do everything. So this is an opportunity that we could benefit from some others. And I would assume that any sales tax collected from online purchases and all would fall into this category also?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so we have a great opportunity to keep our schools in more of a pristine shape and have others help carry that burden instead of placing it just on Pittsylvania County citizens, because those capital needs are going to be there. So just for clarity for citizens'
Mr. Chairman,
knowledge. Yes, sir, Dr. Miller.
I will make the motion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded, so we just need to cast our votes. Please record the vote. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We're down to item 12B, moral obligation agreement between the county and American National Bank and Trust. I think Mr. Rowe has some comments on that.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Before you and in your packet is a draft moral obligation resolution statement. This has been reviewed by your council. It's also been reviewed by the bank for consistency with the term sheet. Of course, back in May 8th of 2020, Stanton River Plastics and the Stanton River Regional Industrial Facility Authority announced their project at the old Klopman Mill site in Hurt. Due to, obviously, COVID, there has been delays, but also due to increased contracts that the company has received. The business case has actually increased for the project. And because of that, the IDA decided to explore the possibility of stepping in and being the developer for the project. And so with that being the case and looking through the business models and the financials and everything else, it made sense from the IDA's perspective to move forward in doing so. And the IDA, with the board's backing, solicited term sheets from various institutions. At the end of the day, the IDA selected a term sheet from American National Bank, and in that term sheet, it's option number 2. This is a very fast-moving project now, and so at the end of the day, last week on Thursday evening, the IDA approved both that term sheet, the facility lease, which had already been signed by the company, the amendment to the facility lease, and the construction contract, which had also been solicited as far as for multiple estimates as well, and I think they got a great deal on that. And so what is before you this evening is this moral obligation, with the understanding that the company has agreed to, in writing, put forward $1,504,012.65 in advance as a rent payment. In addition, the company has made substantial additional payments with the contractor to hedge any rise in steel prices. The term is a 7-year term, even though the IDA does have a 10-year facility lease with a guaranteed buyout from the company at the end of that 7-year term in the facility lease. and the rate is at 3.55% over a 25-year amortization schedule. And so at the end of the day, this is a requirement of that bank term sheet. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, but we are on track if this board so blesses the moral obligation for a early May closing, and the bank is certainly expediting that, and we appreciate that, and the company is eager to have a groundbreaking and frankly get in there and start meeting the contracts.
Any questions from Mr. Rowe? Okay, thank you, Mr. Rowe. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, since this is in my district, I will make the motion for the board to approve the attached moral obligation as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Do I have any discussion on the motion? Okay, please cast your votes. Please record the vote. Motion carries unanimously. We're down to 12C, resolution number 2021-04-03, supporting abandonment of portion of Ringgold Industrial Parkway. It's down next to Intertape expansion. So, again, this is Mr. Rowe.
Of course, gentlemen, back in January, we had the announcement of Intertape. Anybody who's been on this board knows that was their either fourth or fifth expansion since I've been here. $45 million expansion and 50 jobs. This is, in my opinion, a great example of how economic development is teamwork. And so, of course, my office, we did the handling as far as of the negotiation with the company. But at the end of the day, Ms. Ragsdale, Mr. Hicks, Mr. Smitherman, Mr. Hunt, and all of our team members at the VDOT offices all worked together to do something that was frankly key to the project, but was done very quietly, which was to facilitate the paperwork and the potential abandonment of the end of that roadway, which is where the building will be built. And so at this point in time, all postings and public notices have been met. I think it was 3 postings along the roadway. We didn't receive any comments from the public in the posting in the paper. And so this is a key consideration and step in order to allow Intertape to begin breaking ground on the building. They've already started doing site work.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe. Any questions from Mr. Rowe? Thank you, sir. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, this is in my district. Is that, no, pardon me, that I'm on the next one down. I'm going with withdraw right there. I'm on the third one. I'll make the motion anyway, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Motion's been made by Mr. Davis to approve resolution number 2021-04-03, supporting the abandonment of a portion of Ringgold Industrial Parkway, State Road 1270 for Intertape expansion. Do I have a second?
I will second it.
Seconded by Mr. Davis. Mr. Scarce, any discussion on it? Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I do want to make a statement. I was on point after all. I appreciate your presentation, Mr. Rowe. Mr. Rowe's been an asset to the county. However, some things do go unmentioned, and I'm going to make this mention because we have the chairman who is sitting that went to bat for my district on this. Now, he doesn't care about the accolades and all, but I have to honor him tonight on this position. So if you don't like it, Mr. Chairman, you can fire me. But he did go and push and grab and get a hold of upper echelons and political on the state level to, you'd be surprised how much money 1 penny cost on rail travel. And that was a sticking point for Intertape, and Mr. Warren got that negotiated through proper channels to keep Intertape here because they were planning on moving. And so now we have growth. However, I want to thank him for keeping job growth in my district and, going to bat for me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Davis, for the kind words. It's always a team effort, and that project of working with concerning the rail and all was certainly a team effort. Matt and I had tons of conversations with Mr. Smitherman and Mr. Hunt concerning those issues. So we'd we'd have to recognize our state representatives, who was Dandy Marshall, who was big in trying to assist with that. So it certainly was a team effort, and we certainly received some great benefits from Intertape's appreciation for the team effort of working for them for their last expansion. And now, look, it's getting us another expansion that helps the citizens of Pittsylvania County. So just been a great partner for the county for a long time. So, you know, we're fortunate to have them, and we want to say thank you, and we want them to know how much we appreciate them being here. So please cast your votes. Please record the vote. Motion carries unanimously. We're down to Resolution 2021-04-04, supporting naming William H. Pritchett Memorial Bridge, and Dr. Miller.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. It has, or was actually, my very good pleasure to have known Mr. William Harvey Pritchett for many, many years. Mr. Pritchett was a friend of my family, especially my father, as well as yours truly. And not only Mr. Pritchett, but his very dear wife, Mrs. Lily Pritchett. I did not have the opportunity to know the son, Cedric, but I'm aware that he was. And Mr. and Mrs. Pritchett lived on Route 360 over in the Blair's community. And he was, of course, a part of our Bannister district. And historically, Mr. Pritchett was the first elected African-American member of the Board of Supervisors in Pittsylvania County. He served as vice chairman for many years, and he also served as chairman. And Mr. Pritchett was very, very active in the larger community of Pittsylvania County. He worked in terms of voting rights and other things similar. Mr. Pritchett served as a district manager for the Universal Life Insurance Company. He also served as the chairman of the board of directors of our Pittsylvania County Community Action. He was, I think, if I remember correctly, at the time of his deceasement, he was the president of the Dan River Blair's Civic League, and there were a number of other valuable and important functions. And as a result of that, and of course, it is long overdue, if you're at Blair's, of course, the stoplight there at Blair's between Witt Road and Lawless Creek Road is the first stoplight there. And then, of course, the second stoplight is the Mal Mason stoplight. And the bridge that is being referenced is on the north side, side of Route 29, headed in this direction, and the curved bridge that goes over Route 29. is very definitely in the Bannister district. It's on the edge, but it is definitely in the Bannister district. And so it gives me great pleasure and honor to present this information, and I would desire that all of the members of the Board of Supervisors will vote to accept and approve the resolution for naming the bridge the William H. Pritchett Memorial Bridge.
Second.
Got a motion by Dr. Miller, seconded by Mr. Davis. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, please cast your votes. Please record the vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Thank you.
We're down to 12E, temporary suspension of issuing any certificates or license for any kind of events, correct?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, for the benefit of the audience, we discussed this at the legislative committee meeting, which occurred at the new Elections and Training Center at 2 p.m. today. The county has been approached by an entity that desires to begin holding music festivals at the amphitheater, and we are in the process of revising Chapter 10 of the Pittsylvania County Code that deals with music festivals. Best of our recollection, that code section was adopted after Woodstock. It was briefly revised in the 70s, and then it was revised again in the 90s, so that's almost 30 years ago. So I've written a motion that for the board's consideration, and I'll just read it. I make a motion to temporarily suspend the issuance of any county music festival permits until the Board of Supervisors can adopt revisions to Pittsylvania County Code, Chapter 10, Music Festivals, anticipated to occur at the board's May business meeting following the conducting of the legally required related public hearing.
Do I have a motion?
I make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Davis, seconded by Dr. Miller. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Okay, please cast your votes. Need a second. There we go. Please record the vote. Motion carries unanimously. We're down to item 12F, the funding of the Cascade and Mountain Cross apparatus and equipment request that is due to be paid out. Have you written this up something?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, for the benefit of the audience, this was brought up by Supervisor Ingram and discussed at the board's work session that occurred this afternoon at 4:30. The motion I have is I make a motion to appropriate funding from the county's capital improvement fund for the purchase of one fire truck each for Cascade and Mountain Cross volunteer fire departments immediately following the Board of Supervisors July business meeting, and that all future fire and EMS apparatus purchases shall thereafter follow the Fire and Rescue Commission's recommended apparatus replacement schedule to be developed and adopted in the near future.
Mr. Chairman, I adopt that
Make that motion.
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Davis, seconded by Mr. Ingram. Is there further discussion on the motion? Okay, please cast your votes. Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Ingram.
if I may, could I make a comment, please?
Absolutely, please.
Listen, on behalf of the citizens of the Cascade Fire Department as well as Mount Cross, I just want to let you know how grateful I am that you guys saw fit to appropriate this funding, and I promise you it will be put to good use. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram, for bringing it to everyone's attention. Matters from the work session, summer youth program.
Mr. Chairman, for the audience's benefit, we discussed it at a work
Mr. Chairman, I make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Davis, seconded by Dr. Miller. And I will respectfully ask Dr. Brown if she has any comments she would like to make.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for all the hard work you've done with this program. Any discussion on this program? Okay, we had a lot of discussion earlier, so please cast your votes. Got a motion and a second, so please cast your votes. Who's second? Motion carries unanimously. We're down to, you have 4 items from the work session in relationship to the legislative committee.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. At 2 o'clock today, the legislative committee recommended to the full board 4 items that are before you in the motion. The recommendations were: 1, to advertise a public hearing at the board's May business meeting for potential revisions to the following county ordinances. Number 1, private waste hauling ordinance, section 17-4 and 17-5 of the Pittsylvania County Code. Recommend a public hearing for music festival ordinance revisions, chapter 10 of the Pittsylvania County Code. Number 3, recommend a public hearing for potential revisions to temporary camping and the county's campground ordinances, Pittsylvania County Code sections 35-85, that will be a new section, and revisions to Pittsylvania County Code section 35-138. And then finally, the legislative committee recommended to the full board that the full board make no changes to the county's current solar ordinances and reject the proposed community solar text amendments to Pittsylvania County Code sections 35-35, 35-141C, D, and E that were presented at the legislative committee today.
And they can be approved in a block from the committee.
Yes, sir.
Committee's pleasure, board's pleasure.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
A motion made by Dr. Miller, seconded by Supervisor Davis. Any discussion on the motion? Please cast your votes. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. We're down to board members' reports. We'll start to my right with Mr. Ingram tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say what an honor it was to support the naming of the bridge after Mr. Pritchett. As a young boy, I worked in the tobacco fields raising money to buy school clothes, and every year I went over to J.C. Penney's in Blue Park and spent all my money with Miss Lily Pritchett. So I feel like I probably helped him with getting where he was at by supporting the family, but it was an honor. And one more thing, Mr. Chairman. Some of you may know a little girl named Grace Clark was involved in a horrible accident a week ago this past Saturday. And as a result, she lost her right foot. This little lady, I call her Amazing Grace because she's now home after being at Brenner's Children's Hospital and going through, I think, 5 surgeries. But she is the daughter of Eric Clark, who's the chief of the Cascade Volunteer Fire Department. So I hope that when they get their new truck, they might name it Grace. At least I would. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram. Mr. Farmer.
No, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dudley.
No, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Dr. Miller.
Just very quickly, I'm going to communicate in the same way that Mr. Ingram did. I also shopped at J.C. Penney and was served by Mrs. Pritchett when I was headed toward college, and she was also a very, very pleasant and delightful person, and I wish she had been here tonight, but at any rate, kudos, whatever the word is, kudos.
Yes, sir.
To Mrs. Pritchett.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Mr. Davis.
Yes, I do appreciate the opportunity to serve my district, and I also have Miss Pritchett, who lives in my district. Now, while you guys probably gave her a few cents or pennies, I got a chance to take her some good old country sausage, and she was happy about that. So I know she likes sausage, so I think you guys may need to bring her some sausage. Lastly, I want to thank the Board of Supervisors, as well as the staff for doing such a great job for the last 4 years. Smitherman, for your leadership, Counselor, Mr. Hicks, Matt, even Miss Emily, Miss Kim Vanderhyde, Mr. Caleb, IT Department, Kalen, thank you guys, all of you. Josh, for the great job you've done for the last several years while we've had an opportunity to sit on the starship of this enterprise that's going into the future with the new ideas and new innovations, and the old school is gone and out, and the old boy crowd's gone. So we're looking for new innovation moving forward in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Scares.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have one thing. This year's Friends of Nra Banquet is coming up on May the 6th at the ODAC Center. We have been doing a pretty good job last year. We broke our fundraising record, and we're hoping to at least get close to it this year, but there's a variety of sponsorship packages and tickets available. You can contact me or any other committee board members, and just keep in mind all the money we raise, it stays in our community. It goes to help the Boy Scouts, I guess any gun safety programs for the schools and stuff like that. So whatever you donate is staying in the county. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Scares. Yes, I would like to thank Mr. Smitherman, Mr. Hicks, and Mr. Ayers in particular. Nick's not here tonight, or I would thank him also. I had some real concerns, and we're getting several calls because some of our collection sites were having to close due to being overfilled during the weekends, and we see a real uptick in the collection sites deposits during this time of year, but I was really pleased this weekend. I know we had to close one of our sites about an hour or so short of normal closing time, but even with that, within just minutes of closing the site, we had that information out there on social media, both on our county website and on Facebook, and everyone was on top of it, so we could let our citizens know what was going on, and they didn't have to be wondering, why is it closed, how long is it going to be closed. All of that information was provided, and again, that just goes along with the transparency that we've promoted the last several years on this, last 4 years, I guess, on this board, and I really appreciate us being so transparent in our communications with the citizens and informing them and keeping them updated. And on a last note and a personal note, I'd like to thank this board and the staff for the number of calls and emails and text messages that I received and my wife received from you folks, and the visits that we've gotten in the loss of my mother-in-law, Murray Atkins, who was very dear and special to us, and it's always a tough time when you lose a loved one, but it certainly makes it easier when you're surrounded by folks you know that care, and they express their thoughts and prayers. And from myself and from my family, I want to thank all of you for your outreach concerning our loss. And it's just a pleasure to serve with each and every one of you, and I look forward to working with you the next several years. So thank you. Mr. Smitherman, do you have anything, sir?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple things, and I do appreciate you bringing up the challenges we've had in our trash collection system in the last few weeks. You'll remember that when COVID hit last spring, we were so overwhelmed by trash that we had to close on Sundays. We are actually experiencing more volume this time of year than we did this time last year. So we are inundated with spring cleanup. We are trying very hard to keep up with the flow. And the least we can do is to communicate to our citizens when we have to redirect trash in other directions, and we will continue to endeavor to improve collections and improve communications in our garbage service. Also want to commend to you the reassessment project and the smooth way it is operating right now. We are doing front door pictures or elevation pictures in the central part of the county right now. We are also working east of Chatham and in the Shiva and Chocolate Level areas and doing unmanned air photos or drone photos in other parts of just west of Chatham. We also want to make you aware that we've learned that the railroad crossing in Dry Fork at Jim's Warehouse is going to be closed next week, Monday through Wednesday. It is getting an upgrade. It's something that Mr. Hicks has been working on for some time with VDOT and Norfolk Southern. It's a really rugged crossing, which we cross many, many times a day going to the landfill. So there will be an impact in the Dry Fork area early next week. And then finally, I want to congratulate Darrell Dalton and Susan Dillon, two longtime employees of the county that have announced their retirement. Mr. Dalton will be finishing up this week more than, I think, 31 years of service with Pittsylvania County. And Ms. Dillon finished up this past Friday, and both of them will be greatly missed. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Smithman. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Mr. Hunt? Thank you. There being no other business to come before this committee tonight, before I adjourn, just want to remind you we got to reconvene 2 sessions from earlier today, so please stay put. We had a couple closed sessions we got to finish. So I will declare the Board of Supervisors business meeting adjourned.